I'm Dustin, welcome to Fantasy Smack Talk, heading into week 6 already. Before we get into the waiver wire ads though, if you remember last week I asked you to like this video. If we got over 500 likes, we were going to give away a t-shirt. Last I checked, we were up over like 700 likes, so we're definitely giving away a shirt. I said I would pick from people in the comments. Last time I threw a dart. This time I went through, I picked some of my favorite ones, and we're going to do a vote. So click on the link in the card and cast your vote. We'll do the voting until kickoff on Sunday, so 1 o'clock Eastern time. I picked 4 finalists. First one's Charles Lamb. He went through, responded to a lot of people's questions and had some good advice. So I was wanting to get him in there, so thank you, Charles, for doing that. Advanced Gamer 30 says this is the absolute best waiver wire show on YouTube, so I enjoyed that one. So Advanced Gamer, you're in there. Curtis Everett, bro, I watch every week. You guys rock. LOL, I drafted Woodhead this year because you've been so high on him over the last 2 years. I mean, he was good. So any comment that has Woodhead in it, I'm excited about it. So Curtis, you're one of the final 4. And then Brace Scroggs just said fart. And that made me laugh. So you make the finals as well. Matthew Munez, you almost made it, but he said Nameco for president. I do this show. Dustin for president, you would have been in there for sure. So you just missed the cut. Get in there, vote. We'll see who wins this shirt. Go ahead and campaign for votes if you're one of the finalists. But let's talk about the running backs. Got a lot of people to talk about this week. Nothing crazy though in terms of people you need to run out and grab, but a lot of guys that do have some upside. James White, it's simple with him. We know what he can do. Tom Brady puts him back on the map. I think especially in PPR leagues, he has value. Deeper standard leagues, I think he could have some big weeks, but PPR is where James White has his most value. James Starks, just monitor the Eddie Lacy injury. He got hurt. Early reports are saying Lacy, that is not that serious of an injury, but all Lacy owners, you probably want to do what you can to get Starks on your team just for security. Dwayne Washington, I am still a believer. Theo Riddick did have a decent game week 5. He averaged his highest yards per attempt so far this year, but his yearly average is still only 3.4. And then Zach Zinner, I was a little bit worried that he might take over or take over the chances of what Dwayne was going to get, but Zinner had some carries this week, only averaged 2.1 yards a carry. So I still think the early down work, that job is open, up for grabs. I think Dwayne Washington's still the favorite to get that. Darren Sproles, I wanted to talk about him. I think he might start having value in standard leagues as well as PPR leagues because our Matthews fumbled week 5. This could mean that Smallwood might get more carries moving forward, or Kenyon Barner could get mixed in there as well, but I think Sproles' role will only increase. I don't know if they're going to just throw in one of those youngsters and just take touches away from Sproles. If anything, I think they'll take touches away from Matthews, give Sproles a couple more, and then work the youngsters in. So I think Sproles could be in line for a heavier workload moving forward. Jalen Richard out there with the Oakland situation. Also, DeAndre Washington is still available in a lot of leagues. Richard's only owned in about 25% of leagues right now. Here's the deal. Until this situation gets figured out, I think all 3 of those guys, Richard, Washington, and Latavius Murray, are all worth owning in most leagues. Just until we see what happens. I think one of them will emerge and be the lead guy. But at this point, it's kind of anyone's guess. I think they wanted it to be DeAndre, but he didn't really perform. So it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. But until this one gets figured out, I think in most leagues, all 3 of those guys are worth owning until this one gets figured out. Receivers, Tyrell Williams continues to impress with Keenan Allen out. Still only owning about 65% of leagues. After his big game week 5, that's definitely going to change. Go ahead and pick him up. Another guy that should be added in all leagues is Sammy Coates. I mean, we all loved him coming into the year. Got off to a slow start. Eli Rogers was supposed to be kind of the wide receiver 2 out there to potentially own, but he's been banged up. Wheaton hasn't really done much. Coates really broke out. I mean, they were focused on shutting down Antonio Brown, and Coates was just single coverage and just burned for a couple long touchdowns. Here's the deal with Coates. I do think he'll be inconsistent, but with his weekly upside, I think he's worth owning in all leagues just because, I mean, he could emerge and be a huge player. And especially if Antonio Brown gets hurt, I think Coates could have a huge year. Deeper leagues, don't forget about Tyler Lockett. I mean, he was dropped in about 40% of leagues. He only owned about 60%. He was pretty much drafted in 100. He got hurt week 2. He never really seemed to really recover, get back to his former self, but they're coming off the bye week. I like his matchup going up against Atlanta week 6. I think it could be, I think he could get back into the fantasy mix, so go ahead and pick him up now before someone else grabs him, before he has a good game, because the potential's still there. I mean, Tyler Lockett finished last year on fire. I know Jimmy Graham's playing better out there now, but I still think there's plenty of balls to go around. I still have faith in Lockett. Jeremy Curley, I want to talk about him. Lots of receivers this week to talk about. I think people are going to get really excited about him, maybe get a little bit overly excited about him. The one thing that worries me about Curley is that it looks like there could be a quarterback change coming, and he's definitely been Gabbert's favorite target, but who knows what a new quarterback will do. He might favor another receiver. So I think Curley has proven to be their best playmaker in the air. And I do think he's definitely worth adding in most leagues, but I'm not necessarily going to say all leagues just because I don't necessarily trust that passing offense. Chris Hogan is interesting. Again, once Tom Brady's there, it just gets the passing game going again. He did get a concussion. He's in the protocol, so keep an eye out for that, or he's getting tested for a concussion, but it might not be too serious. He might be back week 6. But Hogan, it's just, he's going to be inconsistent, but on that offense, he's going to have some more big games. And then Cameron Meredith is very interesting with Chicago. This is a guy that didn't play full-time receiver until his senior year in college. He was an undrafted free agent. He had a really good game week 5, and there's some potential there. With Kevin White out, he started. There's a lot of attention's going to be on Alshon Jeffrey. Meredith is interesting. I mean, I want to see one more game before I'm getting too excited about him, but I think he's definitely someone, deeper leagues, stash him on your bench, see what happens. In some situations, I think he's worth putting right into your starting lineup, but he's someone that has my attention right now. At quarterback, Alex Smith, I like him as a pickup and play. They got the Raiders week 6, so if you're looking for a quarterback, you got bye week issues, or you're just not liking your quarterback matchup, I don't mind Alex Smith. Tight end, I got to talk about my boy Jesse James. He just keeps finding the end zone. That's what we said. That's what I said I was going to like about him is his red zone potential, and he just keeps doing it. That's 3 touchdowns for him in the last 4 games, so that's where his value is at. Only on 25% of leagues, but he has been starting to get targeted a little bit more, so I think, even in PPR leagues, I think there's some potential there. I mean, obviously standard leagues, he has a huge upside, but I think even in PPR leagues, I think he's starting to move up the rankings for me. And then my pickup and play defense, I'm going to go with Detroit. They're at home against the Rams. Detroit's only owning about 5% of leagues. Rams offense has looked better. I mean, Gurley's been getting things going. Tavon Austin's been looking pretty good, but I still like Detroit for being able to get at least 2 to 4 sacks and maybe force some mistakes. So I don't mind Detroit as a pickup and play. Defense this week. If you want to read my write-up about these people, click on the link in the description. As always, if you got questions, post them in the forums. And don't forget to vote. Vote for your favorite person who left the comments. We'll give away a shirt at the end of the week. Good luck this week.